This is the solution video for section 5.2, problem number 2. For 1 and 2, an object is moving along a horizontal number line so that its position, s, at any given time, t, is given. The time interval is also given. Find the velocity and acceleration at time t. Also, give a motion diagram. All right, so first of all, when it says find the velocity and acceleration at time t, I'm simply looking for v of t and then a of t. All right, so v of t is just the derivative. So remind yourself that's just s prime of t. So we're going to take the derivative of this function, t squared plus 3t plus 1 over t squared plus 1. So we're going to use the quotient rule. So I'm going to take the denominator, t squared plus 1, times the derivative of the numerator. So derivative of t squared plus 3t plus 1 is the quantity 2t plus 3. So make sure you use parentheses so that you remember to distribute correctly. Then minus the numerator, t squared plus 3t plus 1, times the derivative of the denominator, which would just be 2t, all divided by the denominator, t squared plus 1 squared. All right, so now we just want to simplify a little bit. So v of t equals, all right, so I'm going to distribute here. I get 2t times t squared, so 2t cubed. Then I get a plus 3t squared. Then I get a plus 2t, and then plus 3. Then I'm going to distribute the 2t this way, but then I'm also going to distribute the negative 1, the minus that way. So I get minus 2t cubed, right? And then I get minus 6t squared, and then I get minus 2t. All of that divided by the t squared plus 1 squared. All right, so I have 2t cubed minus 2t cubed, so those subtract out. Plus 3t squared minus 6t squared, so I get minus 3t squared. And then I have a plus 2t minus a 2t, so those subtract out, and then a plus 3 over t squared plus 1 squared. Right, so that's v of t. And of course, you could, like factor out and, make it look different or whatever. So negative 3, let's say I factor out, and I would get like t squared minus 1 over t squared plus 1 squared, right? So that's the first derivative. All right, so now, next, it also says to find acceleration. So we're going to find a of t, right? So a of t, remember, is s double prime of t, which is also v prime of t. So I'm going to find the derivative of this thing that we just found. So I'm going to take the denominator, t squared plus 1 quantity squared, times the derivative of negative 3t squared minus 1. So that would be negative 3 times the derivative of t squared, so negative 6t, minus the numerator, which is negative 3 times t squared minus 1, times the derivative of the denominator. So derivative of t squared plus 1 squared would be 2 times t squared plus 1 to the first, times the derivative of t squared, which is 2t. All right, then we're going to take this and divide by the denominator squared. So that would be t squared plus 1 quantity squared, right? That's the denominator squared, right? So it's actually going to be t squared plus 1 to the fourth. All right, so now I want to simplify. So a of t is going to equal, all right, so if I distribute the negative 6t, so I get negative 6t cubed. Oop, I'm sorry, that is not right. This was t squared plus 1 squared, so we're going to multiply that out. So that's going to be t to the fourth plus 2t squared plus 1. Then we're going to distribute the negative 6t. All right, so then minus, now I'm going to deal with a little bit of this. I've got the 2t there, and then I've got the minus 3 here, so it's going to become plus 6t times, and if I multiply, sorry, not 6t, let's see, I had another 2 there, so 2, a 2, and a 3, so that's actually going to be a 12t. Then I've got the t squared minus 1, and then the t squared plus 1, so if I multiply those out, I get t to the fourth, and then minus t squared plus t squared, and then minus 1. All right, so all of that in the numerator, and then the denominator, like I said before, is t squared plus 1 quantity to the fourth. All right, so now let's simplify a little bit more. All right, so now I'm going to distribute the negative 6t. So this is going to be negative 6t to the fifth minus 12t to the third minus 6t. Then I get plus 12 t to the 5th, and then I get minus 12t. All of that divided by the t squared plus 1 to the 4th, right? So this is a of t, and then just a little bit of cleaning up to do. All right, so a of t is equal to, all right, so I have negative 6t to the 5th and a plus 12t to the 5th, so 6t to the 5th. Then I've got my minus 12t cubed, and then I've got minus 6t minus 12t, so minus 18t, all divided by t squared plus 1 to the 4th. All right, so I will do the motion diagram in another video.